Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the Connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. Have you ever really considered what it means to make a disciple for Jesus Christ? Hi, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and this is the Wesleyan Connection, a podcast for the folk of the Holston Annual Conference and beyond. And I say that this morning because in our conversation recently with the district superintendent, a group of ministers got together, and Beth Tipton, who's the director of the UVA-Wise Wesley Foundation, raised a question: what is your discipleship process? And we began then talking about what it means to make disciples and what the process of making disciples is all about. So we hope that you find our conversation stimulating, and I hope that you will listen in and come back for more later on.
I think that's a really good question, is what is your discipleship process? Because sometimes we don't even put thought into it. We think it naturally occurs. And for me, it would be helpful to hear from my peers in ministry, how have you planned for the, and to think about myself in ministry.
I think in the church, just like any other entity, has to have a business plan. I mean, you don't simply just throw it out in faith and say, well, God's going to take care of it. I mean, you can, but God says, all right, how are you going to help me do this? Mm-hmm. Going back to our Thursday night meal, some folks would say, well, does it pay for itself? Absolutely it does. Let me tell you why. The offering for Thursday night, and we always give an opportunity. The offering for Thursday night is generally anywhere from $6 to $9. But designated giving on Sunday morning is such that Thursday night meal is one of the best funded ministries that the Pennington Gap United Methodist Church has.
Preach that on Sunday.
Even though it's $6 to $9 offering, people see it's important. It's changing lives, and it becomes a part of ministry. And if we put a line item budget, well, we need X amount of dollars. The finance committee would look at it and say, this doesn't make sense. I mean, you need this much money, but this is all you get. But people are giving to that because they feel like it's important. And I think that's what our church has to do. We have to do what our people know is important to change the lives of people. It's not about the bottom line always, even though we do have to have a budget, and we do have to have a business plan. But it's not about dollars and cents. It's about people's lives and how am I changing. We do have to pay that $800,000 budget. How do we do it? We do it by conditioning people to say, hey, you're making a difference. Your gift is changing people's lives. I told Sandy the other day, she always changes the marquee on the front of the church. She put it up there. She said, it's more blessed to give than receive. I said, Sandy, you need one more line. Now give. And so that's it. It's more blessed to give than to receive. And that's what we need to tell our people. And that's what I need to hear. It's more blessed to give than to receive. Now give.
Leadership guru Simon Sinek says that we need to start with why we do things, that too often we focus on what we're doing, and that those who are successful in the business world at least are really good at articulating why. Hallmark, for example, their mission is to enrich lives. Why they do what they do, they enrich lives, and from that comes what they do. They produce cards and gifts, and so one of the challenging questions I think for us as leaders in the church is not only why are we in ministry, but why do we do Thursday night dinner? Why do we do Wesley outreach on campus? Why do we do whatever it is that our churches do? Because I think so often we've gotten to this routine of what we do, and we're really good at announcing that we're having revival instead of we want to see lives renewed for Christ, your fire to be rekindled. And it just, the way it articulates is very different. There's a great TED talk out there by him on it. It's like 20 minutes.
What's his name?
Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K.
You don't want to be C-Y-N-I-C, do you?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly either.
I think also, we talk about what, but, especially when we talk about the church, we talk about survival. And so many of our churches really are in survival mode, and, in many ways I feel like I'm fighting to keep my church from being in survival mode. And, when you talk about that debt, that's all consuming. But with that said, how do you get away from it? You get back to that why. If we can't answer that, then why don't we just turn it back over to the bank and let them handle it? Why do we need to exist? And the honest truth is, Hilton's does incredible ministries. I'm just sitting here thinking about our back to school ministry. I mean, we had record numbers this year that we gave out supplies to. We asked that question: if the church stopped, who would miss it? I know a lot of people would miss Hilton's, but with that said, we still got to get back to that why, so that we know how to answer that big question that we've got with the money.
Yeah.
So,
well, and what I was hearing, you've almost answered part of it. Why do we have that big debt? So we can do these things that touch people's lives, because that helps us do that.
It is why we're there.
Yeah.
But I think it's the thing that I'm picking up, and I've been doing a lot of reading here lately, and it's really hitting me. But it talks about how easy it is for us to forget that why. And I sometimes feel, especially with this building, we're sitting here going, why did we build this thing? And I mean, it really is. I mean, it's not just me asking it. There's people asking it. And with that said, we keep on coming back to answering. We built this because we believe in ministry. And the ministry we've done, even if it's just that one, it's incredible.
This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.